I started doing workshops and doing groups where I'm getting up in front of others, like outside of the gym setting, and talking about resilience and perseverance and goal setting and vision and taking action.
You should know what 1 hour of your time is worth. You should know the value that you bring to the marketplace. You know what your passion is.
It starts with clarity of vision. If you don't have the clarity of vision, whatever next thing you get, you're not going to see it through because you don't have the clarity of vision. So the point of my pain was being told you will never run or jump again. All that stuff, I was like, you know what, like, I want to be able to take this even bigger.
If you know why you do what you do, you have to know how to charge for what you do. That's how you're going to change your life, and that's how you're going to leave a legacy for your children and your family. You got to know your worth.
Happy Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rob, and I'm back with episode number 390 of Shut Up and Grind. We're all about overcoming obstacles, defying the odds, and inspiring you to clear whatever is blocking the path from whatever success you want in this lifetime. So before I get into today's topic, my new app, SpeakLikeAWarrior.com, is now live. That's to help male veterans stay on this earth, right? It's a program that takes them from their point of pain, PTSD, trauma, hurt, and it helps them turn it into an inspirational story. So they don't have to relive the nightmare. They can help other vets who are also in pain, and it's 100% free. So again, it's SpeakLikeAWarrior.com. So before I bring my guest on, I want to talk about you, right? If those of you who watch this show on the regular, you know I ask every guest to describe themselves. But can you describe you? Who are you at your core? Before you were a mom, before you were a dad, before you were a teacher, before you were an engineer, because people tend to tie their identities to what they do. But that's not who you are. That's why like 65% of the workforce is unfulfilled because they attach their identity to their job. So I want you to think about that as we're going through this episode. You know, my guest is going to come on and he's going to say who he is at his core. And I want you to truly, truly think about that. And then today we're going to be talking about cash flow. Find the money you're missing. And who's helping me have this conversation? This is Mike Cashflow Milan. Hope I said that right. With 20 plus years in the trenches and 14 companies built from the ground up, Mike knows one thing. Business owners don't fail because they're bad at business. They fail because no one taught them how to read the story their numbers are telling. So, Mike, welcome to the show. How we doing?
Dude, hey, live from San Antonio, it's Cashflow Mike. And I tell you what, I don't know what you put into that video, but I got like a hit of dopamine. I'm like, I'm all hyped up. I'm like motivated. I'm like, this is going to be crazy. So, yeah, thanks.
That's
by the
awesome.
way, the name? Mike Milan. We're not fancy. We're not European. Milan, but yeah, it's okay. Nobody's going to get that right.
That's awesome. So usually the first question I ask is where you joining me from, but you already said San Antonio. So are you born and raised there?
Not. I'm actually an Illinois farm kid, right? Galesburg, Illinois. Okay. Like probably a lot of kids up in Illinois on the farm, you go to the military first, and then you figure out where your life is going to take you from there.
Okay. And what branch of the military?
I was in the Army, and then I transferred into the National Guard and became a state trooper, right, of all things.
Okay.
Right. So when I got off of the active duty stuff, I became a Missouri State Trooper in St. Louis. Yeah. And that's where my life began. And I could see the whole life. I could see it all the way out through 40 years of service and the whole works, right? So, I mean, it's funny how life gives you a little bit of curveball here and there.
A little bit. There's curveballs everywhere with life. Absolutely right. Everywhere. Right. Oh, man. All right. So before we dive in, as I said in the intro, who are you at your core?
Ooh, man, that is such a good question. And that one I've been asked, right? So, I'm sure everybody has who they are in the world. But me, who I think I am, is I'm somebody that has three different things instilled into them, right? One is pride. I got pride in what I've done, what I've taken advantage of in my family, in my service. So pride is the one thing. The next thing I think is in my core is professionalism, right? Because I think, the eyes of the public or the eyes of the world are always upon you. So if you think that is true, then you should act accordingly, right? And act yourself and present yourself in a way that you want to be viewed by the world. And then lastly, is attention to detail. I'd like to think that I notice the small things, that I pick up on nuances, and that helps me see the world from a different perspective, right? Which is, hey, if you want to see different things, you got to look at it a different way. And that's kind of where I think I'm at.
Yeah, that is huge with me. I'm constantly telling people, like, the first chapter in my book is titled "There's Nothing Wrong with You." It's like to highlight what you just said. You just need to look at life differently. Like, if you're constantly fighting battle after battle after battle after battle, you're not seeing all the good that's waiting for you because you're so zeroed in on the struggles and the challenges. But when you step back, you'll be surprised what you can do. So tomorrow will be the end of 6 weeks of rehab for me after a full knee replacement. And I'm being discharged from therapy tomorrow. Being discharged. People were like, "You're going to be in rehab for like 6 months to a year." I walked into PT. I said, "What's the record for somebody getting discharged?" And they said 8 weeks. I said, "Game on."
Yeah.
And so yeah. I'm getting out in 6 weeks, so 2 weeks faster than that, because I didn't focus on the pain. I didn't focus on what I can't do. I focused on what I could do, and I did as much of what I could do as possible to make that happen. So not to make that all about me, but I just wanted to highlight what you just said with that story. I looked at it from a different perspective, and I didn't put that 6 month to a 1 year limitation on myself.
Yeah. So when I hear about knee replacements, I'm like going, Rob, you're like part robot now, right? So, I mean, you're putting robot parts on. Like, we're all doing that. I don't care if it's LASIK surgery or it's knee replacements or whatever it is. We're going to be robots at some point in time.
That is great. That is great. So how would you describe your childhood?
You know what? I'd like to say it's normal. We played outside. I was a child in the 70s, teenager in the 80s. I think they call us feral kids. Feral kids. we just got to run and go, right? So, I mean, when I say it's normal, maybe it was a little bit on the dangerous side if I look at, my kids today versus the childhood I had. But to me, it was
not even close.
Yeah. To me, it was the most normal, right? We went outside, we played. If there was any type of conflict, it was me and my best friend fighting over, was I safe or out at first? Right? I mean, it's those type of things, right? It was that type of thing. So I'd like to think that it was a normal, childhood for a Gen Xer.
Yeah. So I'm right there with you. I'm in Gen X too. I was born in 74. And yeah, maybe it was a little dangerous looking at it through today's lens, but back then, riding in the back of a pickup truck was normal, right? Yeah. It was normal. Drinking out of the hose was normal. Like, then somewhere along the way, they're like, "Hey, we can get these guys to pay for water. Let's just bottle it and tell them that the water in the hose is bad." And like foolish people, we just fell for it, right? Yeah. They got us paying for air now, to blow up our tires. We have to pay for air. But that's a separate rant. But go ahead.
No, yeah, you're right. I went to Walgreens yesterday, and they got these things you put on your face and just oxygen in a can. I'm like, going, well, it's already here. Here it is.
Exactly. Oh God, how times have changed. It's so crazy. All right, so let's talk about how. So you said there was a time when you did not have money, right? So was this something that happened to where you fell on hard times and you dug out of it?
No, I'm a product of teenage love, right? My dad was 17, right. My mom was 19, and hey, here I am, right? So when that happens, there's a struggle, right? There's a struggle that happens in young parenthood, where he needed a job, right? She needed a job, and they just kind of survived. But that put me in a trailer, right? Or that put me in the free lunch program and those type of things, just like a lot of folks, my age and in my town. So it was poor, but it was not anything I thought of as being poor until later, right? Till like you're a teenager going to college, like, hey, this is just normal because this is what all my friends do and this is what we are. So it wasn't anything that I looked at as a disadvantage. I always thought I had the same advantages as everyone else, and I wanted to take and build on that. I'm like going, I don't want to be here, but I didn't think it was bad.
Yeah, and you're told growing up that like if you don't have these degrees and advanced degrees that you're not gonna be able to go anywhere. And we all just adopted that. Like it wasn't for me. Like when I had opened my gym, it was in 2009 during the recession. Sure, you remember the recession, right? Right, and I forgot where I was going with that. Anyway, so we ended up opening it up during that time frame. Going back to perspectives, it's like I didn't know how I was going to do it because I didn't have a college degree, right? I didn't have great credit. I didn't have a lot of savings, but I just had the belief that I could do it. And what turned my mind towards money was I went to a fitness business summit out in California, Southern Cal, and just listening to the speakers just talk about like $100,000 months and things of that nature, and I was like, $100,000 a month? I'm like, holy crap!
Yeah,
it's like when you're just living just a normal middle class lifestyle, like you don't think that stuff is possible.
No, absolutely not. I mean, that's the way we grew up. $100,000. It took me probably into my 30s before I even saw $100,000 in a year. Right? Yeah. I mean, as a state trooper, think about this. As a state trooper, after 7.5 years, I made $34,000 a year.
Oh my God!
Think about that. Now they got raises since. I would be making way more than that, but there was 3 years in a row where they denied paid raises, and that kind of sent me on a whole different path because I actually had student loans, right? Again, poor kid, we didn't have any money to go to college. There was nobody saving money for me, right? It's like going, yeah. Good luck, kid, right? You're 18 now, go ahead. So
good run.
But here's what happened. I'm writing a student loan check. I'm sitting at my kitchen table writing a student loan check, and my wife comes up and goes, hey, guess what? We got our third daughter on the way. And literally in my mind, I went, oh my God, my family outgrew my income, right? I can't afford another person. So it's either start laying off people in the family, like everything's performance based now, right? Like if you don't make your bed, it's going to go on your performance review at the quarter, or go use the degree, right? And I have a master's degree out of Baylor University. That, by the way, I just finished paying off the loan like a few years ago in my 50s, and
wow,
that's what I didn't want my kids to have, is that burden of debt for an education that they could probably get like you did, just running a gym, just being in business, just getting out there and starting to live a life and absorb some of the things that are around you. So I sent them on a different path. But to me, the only thing I could do is run a business to be able to get to those $100,000 months that you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. When I had my gym, we hit almost 300K in our second year. And, we thought we were on the path to something special there, but then, COVID came and like that completely transformed the perspective again, because now it's like, this was taken away from me. Like they shut the gyms down, so it's even though it was my business, it's like we were forced to shut. So then I had to pivot, and I'm still coming out of that pivot, but like I had to make the tough decision to walk away from my own gym and focus on something that I can create that can't be taken away.
Yeah, what's funny is that you've just described two major blips, in people's lives, at least people our age's lives, because you got the first one in 2008, 2009, when the bankers burnt the world down. And I was like you, I had just opened my second restaurant in 2007. Guess what's hard to keep open in 2008, right? Because of, again, all the people are losing their jobs, they're losing their homes, they're losing just everything, it seemed like. And then you described COVID, and I now have bifurcated my life into BC and AC. Oh, that was a BC, problem. Now we have AC before COVID, now after COVID, because it seemed like our whole lives split, a couple different times.
Yeah, it definitely did. But like that's where it opened up my eyes to stop being reliant. Even though it was my business, I was still reliant on the business instead of just creating something that can just go on autopilot. So even though like I manage a gym now, but say if something were to happen here, I have other stuff running that serves me. It's like I love being here in the gym, working with the clients, helping them get results and all that. But like I said, with my Speak Like a Warrior app, I'm launching a speaking business here in about 6 weeks, and I'm going to be doing things that are going to generate that type of income. But granted, to me, it's like, of course, yes, money is important, but like I'm more so looking for the impact. Getting those people who are stuck in the old beliefs and don't think that they can create that type of wealth for them, like leaving that impact that can survive me on this earth.
Yeah, you and I are a lot alike in that way because, my whole mission now at my latest company, Cashflow Mike, of course, is to eliminate cash flow is the reason that businesses fail. That's it. And me, that's the give back. That's people, giving you the opportunity to chase your dream. That's what I think my job is now. My job is to make dreams come true. Because every one of us, if we start a business, I didn't start a business to get a job. I started a business because I wanted to do something else. I wanted to do something next. I wanted to buy a bigger business, grow or expand this one, retire on the lake. Doesn't matter what that is. We all got a different path. But my job is to help you get to wherever you're trying to go next.
Yeah, and the sad reality is that a lot of people don't know. Yeah. That's the thing. It's like as I work with people, like I helped a woman create a podcast a few years ago, and I was like, well, what do you want to talk about? Like she's a clinical psychologist, and she totally speaks like one. Right. So I told her, I was like, if you want to start a podcast and grow an audience, you can't speak like you're speaking to other doctors. I was like, it's everything that just came out of your mouth. I have no right over my head. Like I have no clue what you're talking about. So unless your audience is going to be doctors, but she wanted to talk to like the patients who are afraid to go and get help. I said, so at least knowing that, I was able to help her structure it. But at first, it's like people think I just want to talk to everybody. It's like, and you can't talk to everybody. It's like you need to zero in on what it is you want. But we've been hearing this since the 80s. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Most people can't answer that question.
Yeah, well, and most of us wouldn't know anyway. Even if we said definitively, I'm going to be doing this, COVID pops up. Beggars burn the word. You can't control everything. So, I mean, that's probably the best advice I ever got from my grandfather was, hey, you can only control what you can control and don't worry about the rest, right? You stay in, your path. Every lever you can pull, you pull it when it's the right time to pull it.
And stop listening to people who aren't doing what you want to do. Like it's especially here in the gym, clients will tell me all the time. They're like, "Oh, my friend said that if I do this, then this will happen." I'm like, "Is your friend a trainer?" No. Then why are you listening to the friend when I'm sitting here telling you I studied this stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have multiple certifications and multiple different modalities. I'm not saying I know everything about everything, but you're listening to someone who's not certified in anything. It's like make sense.
Yeah. Plus, you live it. You're doing it every single day, right?
Yes. Exactly.
That's like I coaches, trainers. I mean, do you buy coaching, training?
Yep, absolutely. I'm in week 3 of an 8-week program right now.
Yeah. If you don't, how do you really know? If you won't, eat some of your own dog food, or if you don't get a coach for the things that you need, it's one of those things where you also have to live it. Right. That's authenticity. Yes. Where people buy into to the Robert B. Foster brand is that there's authenticity behind it because they can see you living the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. We had some kids in the gym because here in Rhode Island, we just got over 3 feet of snow. So schools have been closed for the rest of the week. So we had a bunch of kids in class today, and some of the adults were like kind of, you know, half-assed and the exercises. I was like, guys, like there are kids in this classroom. I was like, you should be being the example right now, and not laughing and not goofing off, because then they're not going to take fitness seriously. Because let me tell you, it's easy to teach them young and help them to maintain it, than to wait until they're older, they're out of shape, their metabolism slowered, and to try to reverse those effects. But I'm like, but this starts with you. Like my kids saw me, like they pretty much grew up in the gym, you know. So it's like they saw the habits, they saw the routine, they saw the dedication. Now, did it work with all of them? No, but I was at least still the example.
Yeah. Well, and I still do the things I teach. Right. I still do it. I still work with businesses. Why? To stay close. My main focus is, you know, training advisors and coaches and those type of things. But I still have to go out there and work with a business one-on-one, because I got to know what the current problem is. Right. You got to live that same battle as your clients do, so you can help them.
Yeah, like I'm actually working with my younger daughter now. Like she's getting into photography. She just turned 19. Well, she's actually at Penn State right now for criminal justice, but somewhere in there she found photography. And so I had her send me her flyer, and her flyer is not geared towards potential clients. Right? So I'm gonna revamp it for her, and I'm gonna make a website for her, because I told you, I said this is all about you. I was like, it can't be about you. Like when I'm Googling stuff, I'm Googling for graduate photographers or newborn photographers or whatever. Like they're not going to Google you, you know? So it's like, it has to be about what are you offering that these people want?
Yeah. And I'm going to twist that just slightly more, which is, what problem are you solving? Right. That's the message you got to put out there, saying, okay, even if it's a newborn photographer, my problem is I need a picture of my baby. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Even if I'm a restaurant owner, you know, I'm working with people whose problem is they're hungry. Right? So those are the things that I have to do. I've got to solve the problem. Every business out there is designed to solve a problem.
Yeah, and going back to perspective, just want to share quickly. I remember, so I was in the restaurant industry for 20 years, and I remember one of the servers basically saying she was just a server, right? And so we walked out towards where the dining room was, and like, you see old man Bill over there? So the old man Bill is here 5 to 6 days a week. He starts his day here. And why? Because of your service. I said, so if you're going to consider yourself just a waitress or just a server, that's going to show in your actions. But if you show up like, I'm here to jumpstart these people's day, you know, to make sure that coffee's nice and hot and that their eggs are perfectly the way they want them, you're going to put forth that extra effort, which will in turn get you a bigger tip. You know, so if you go into it, to your point, solving problems instead of just serving food.
That's right.
You know?
Well, and if he's there every day, there's a different problem. He likes that atmosphere. He's there because it's better than his alternatives. That's where he feels the most comfortable. So you've created a space that makes him comfortable, right? I used to tell my servers, I had 3 restaurants in St. Louis for about 10 years or so. And I used to tell them, I said, hey, believe it or not, you're like a character in these people's play, right? They come here for this type of interaction, right? It's you are providing or playing a part in their life, even if it's just serving them, you know, a drink.
Yeah. Like I go into, say, like a Walmart or a local supermarket here, and like you just see the staff just complaining, like in front of people, just complaining and complaining and complaining. And it's like, I have my own problems. You know, it's like I have my own. I don't want to get immersed into yours. You know, unless I'm working with a coaching client, then that's my job, is to help them through their problems. But when I'm checking out at the grocery store and the cashier is trauma dumping on me, it's like, that's not part of your service. I just want you to smile, ring up my stuff, and let me get out of here.
Yeah, say thank you. See you next time. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's so funny how people get ingrained with that, right? Where it's that becomes the reason why they're not happy. And it just perpetuates. If the more people I tell in the checkout line, think of how many times she probably tells the same story over and over and over again, which just creates a bigger debt in her body, right? Just debt on her mind, debt in, the way she feels about others. All of that is just compounding every person that comes through the checkout line. So to me, it would be a leadership problem as a manager saying, hey, listen, let me pull you aside here, right? Because, this is bad for all of us, right? In this environment where we need to talk about it is offline with your friends or your family and those type of things. But, come to work, do your job, go home. Right.
Exactly. So this gym that I'm in now, I've been here about 2.5 years now. And there's a Stop and Shop, which is our local supermarket, that I'm in there almost every day. Almost every day. I go in, get what I want for lunch. And then I actually thought I might be late today, but I got back here at 11:56, Eastern time. So anyway, but I'm in there almost daily. And it was 2 years before the cashier asked me what my name is. So now there's 3 people, like the 2 cashiers I see the most, and one of the girls that helps with the bagging. I've seen about 5 managers. Not one manager has ever said hi.
Wow.
Not one.
That's amazing.
So like places like that, because it's almost like y'all need us. It's like we don't have to put our best foot forward. Y'all need us, but that's not the right attitude to have.
Yeah, and in some businesses, the employee base thinks that they're just order takers, right? They don't think there's a need to sell. There's not a need to, encourage, repeat customers and relationships. But that's not always true for us, a small business owner, right? I mean, most of our business, your business, my business, is built on me being personable in relationships and knowing who you are, right? And seeing you.
Yeah. So along those lines, so I work a side hustle in the summer, and I was cocktail serving, and my shift started at 3. I didn't get my first table until 4. Now the earlier cocktail service started at, I think it was like 11:30. I want to say, and I ended up maybe $100 below them in sales, and maybe it was like 4 to say 7. So in 3 hours, I did what they did. Because they're order takers. Like I'm a service provider. It's like right. I go to each table with a completely different. They just go over. You know what you guys are having?
Yeah.
Right. And I go over with the menu open to the frozen drinks, and I'm like, so today's featured drink is the Miami Vice, which has blah 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 blah. And on a beautiful day like today.
Yeah.
And you sell the service. You don't just say, hey, what do you want? Like, have you tried our prime rib? Oh my God, it's like this thick. It comes with a baked potato, and you just sizzle it. And so it's like with each table, I was getting, now this is a pretty high-end buffet. And each table is like almost a minimum of like 30 to 35% tips just from the interaction alone.
Yeah, and that's such a small thing to do. Right?
Yes.
Such a small thing to do. Just talk. Just talk to somebody, right? Just talk to somebody and stop taking orders and stop, providing a non-memorable or unmemorable experience, right? Because when they leave, they go, man, Rob's really good at this. I like that. That was a good experience for me. And that's not just a Rob thing. That is, I don't know the name of the restaurant you work at, but it's that they remember that experience because they attribute the way that you perform to the leadership and the culture of the restaurant.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So let's dive into the main topic, which says find the money you're missing. How do you help people do that?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically what I do is I built a program called the Clear Path to Cash, right? And it's eight really techniques to maximizing cash in any business. And I've been doing it for about 15 years now. And I'm on the faculty at the Graduate School of Banking at Colorado. So I even teach bankers how to do this with business owners. Believe it or not, this is the weird thing. I've never been a banker, but I teach bankers. So whole different story. But I teach them how to talk to us, right? I teach them how to talk to us and help people understand how money moves through a business, right? So I get rid of words like leverage and solvency and liquidity because even bankers can't describe what that is, in a way that you would understand it. So basically what I do is when we talk about finding hidden cash, one of the most important rules I can give you is called expense control, right? And you're like, oh, I know about expense control. Well, I'm going to put expense control into a mathematical equation, right? Because math always works on a podcast. but here's the rule. I'll tell you the rule. And if you follow this rule, you will make the same money regardless of what the top line sales are. You'll make the same profit, right? And I've proved it 100 different times. I had a client that was doing 9 million, went down to 8 million, and they made the same profit. Sales is only a measurement of how much work you did, right? The number you got to pay attention to is gross profit, right? Gross profit is the amount of money you have to spend. It is the only place you can get cash for your business to put in your operating expenses like rent and salaries and those type of things. And whatever's left over goes in your pocket. So think about it that way. Gross profit is the amount of money you have to spend. Operating expenses is how you spend it. So the rule is this: when gross profit decreases, you should cut operating expense by the same amount, right? If you do that, you will make the same profit. And I challenge anybody listening to your podcast, just go do it on paper, right? Reduce gross profit by $100, cut operating expense by $100, net profit will be the same, right? Now, people are like going, what does that mean? I'm like going, well, here's how you describe it normally, right? Gross profit is the amount of money we have to spend. Operating expense is how we spend it. If you have less money to spend, you should spend less money, right? I mean, most people have that in their head. I tell people, I said, if you took a $2,000 pay cut at your house right now, would anything change? And they go, well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you still might be able to pay your bills, but you're not saving or investing. You're darn sure not going to Taylor Swift concerts, out to eat, those type of things. That's the same thing in your business. Gross profit is the amount of money you have to spend. When you have less of it, you have to spend less money.
Yeah, and managing restaurants, like it was corporate, so that was like hammered in. Like if it's snowing, you don't keep the full staff on.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Like you don't do it. Yeah, if it's slow, you power down 2 of the fryers, you power down 2 of the ovens, and to match that. But why is it? Do you think a lot of people struggle with that?
Because we have set points in our life, right? There's mental things that are set that I can't get rid of that, right? I can't cut this. I can't power down that, right? There's whatever it is. You're in fitness. Have you ever helped somebody lose weight?
Of course.
After you've helped them lose weight, did they go back to a higher weight?
A bunch have. Yes, absolutely.
That's the normal thing to do, right? Why? Because it's uncomfortable. The things we did to lose the weight, we didn't change the pattern. We went back to whatever we were comfortable with, which was the higher weight. We're not really comfortable with the higher weight. We're comfortable with the lifestyle that gave us the higher weight, right? It's the same thing with your bank account. If you ever notice, you always have about the same amount of money in the bank account. I don't know why. It just always happens. You just do, because there's a mental mindset about I'm comfortable when I see this much or more, but I'm not comfortable when it's this much or less, right? What I ask people to do is change the amount that you're comfortable with, because it won't grow unless you're uncomfortable. And this is the way I get them to prove it. I go, if you got a year's worth of salary today, that $100,000 month, what would you do? And everybody comes up with this list of stuff. Oh, I would pay off this debt. I'd go on this vacation. I would invest in this company. I would, all this list. I said, you know what you just told me? That if you got that much money, you would get rid of it as fast as possible. Why? Because you would see it in the bank account and it would make you uncomfortable. Like, oh, I got to do something with that money. I'm only used to seeing $5,000 in my checking account. Now there's $50,000. I got to spend it down. I don't know why we do that. That is something internal. You got to get used to saying, okay, I'll spend some of it to scratch the itch. But now my uncomfort level starts at 10,000 or 15,000. Move your set points up. Same thing with weight loss. Move it down. I'm comfortable at 210 pounds or whatever your thing is.
Yes, like I tell people here, don't even focus on the weight loss. I'm like, focus on the lifestyle. Focus on performance, right? Like again, with the background, you can't see, but we have whiteboards up on the wall, and I'll go through and I'll put up challenges each month. It's like last month we did a plank challenge, and I don't remember the other one, but we had 2. And a sled push challenge. And so it's like, focus on performance, what your body can do. And then once you focus on that, the other stuff will naturally occur. But like if you're sitting there just weighing yourself every single day, like if you start swinging a 10-pound kettlebell, and then within 6 months you're swinging a 40-pound kettlebell, there's going to be some changes within your body. So using that analogy, spot on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, and I'm terrible at fitness right now, so I feel embarrassed talking to you. You know, you know. So anyway, I'm taking a break, Rob.
It's all good.
Yeah, that's right. I'll get back into it. I've got, you know, my wife is telling me, she goes, man, you need to get back out there because, you know, you've taken a little bit of time off. I said, I know. I know. But I feel smarter because I'm watching more TV.
That's true.
That's not true. I mean, it is true. I'm watching too much TV, but you know, I think again, back to, you know, just managing money is getting comfortable with spending less. All right. So you ever heard somebody talk about a lemonade stand as a way to visualize your business? Like, yes. And I call it, in my world, I call it the lemonade stand test. Right. So if you look at, you know, the business plan to me is dead. I don't know if you wrote one of those 40, 50, 70 page, you know, business plans. Oh, maybe you need, you know, maybe you need one for an investor. Maybe you need one for the bank, but most of us don't need a 50 or 70 page business plan. We need a 1-page lean business model canvas, right? And there's 2 important questions on there. One is, what are your key activities? The other one is, what are your key resources? Like, well, what does that mean? Well, think about the lemonade stand. What those 2 questions are asking you is, could you have a business, the business that you want, if you didn't have these things? If not, they're key, right? They're key activities, key resources. So I say, okay, if we have a lemonade stand, what do we need? Well, we need lemons, we need water, we need sugar, we need a pitcher, we need cups, we need a place to keep the money, maybe a table. Okay. If they keep going and they say, we need an umbrella, we need this. Okay. So wait a second. Umbrella. Do we need an umbrella to have a lemonade stand? Well, we're going to be burned up by the sun. I said, it might be uncomfortable, but we can still sell lemonade without an umbrella, right? We can't sell lemonade without lemons, but we can sell it out without an umbrella. We can sell it without, you know, digital advertising. We can put up just posters around the neighborhood. That's the way I want you to think of your business. Ask the same question. Can I still run this gym if I didn't have X, Y, or Z? Well, yeah, we'd still open the doors. I might not have the fancy, you know, app, or I might not have, who knows? I mean, if you're still doing it on a whiteboard, that means you don't have a big, you know, screen with some type of, you know, digital electronic tracking and, you know, keeping score for all your attendees. That's what I'm talking about, is making decisions on how can I still provide the service if I have to cut something that's nice to have.
Yeah. So when I opened my gym, this was in 2015, I had 2 investors. And I told them, I was like, let's just open. Because like I was renting space. I had about 150 clients. So we were profitable right from the first month. But like they wanted to, let's get this and let's get that. And I'm like, we don't need that yet. I'm like, right now we can operate in stations, right? So I don't need 50 medicine balls, right? The 5 that I have is fine because we can just make stations. I said, and then as we profit, we'll use the money from the business to upgrade, because people love to see upgrades. There's nothing worse than to have a beautiful, beautiful facility and then you downgrade to like a garage. You know, it's like you can't do that to your clients.
That's right. Or you don't maintain it and it gets dirty and it starts to fall apart and the sheetrock, you know, cracks. I mean, you have to maintain it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like that's a thing that I just recently had to go through, because, you know, I had some highs, hit a low, built back up to another high, and then hit a low again in 2023, where I finally just walked away, like literally walked away from everything. And now I'm starting to have a better relationship about like getting, because I've always said, I don't need millions. I don't need millions. But I'm trying to reframe it to where, how many more people could I help if I had millions? You know, so that way it's not about me. Going back to what I said earlier about impact. It's like, how much more of an impact could I have if I build this speaker program? I should say, when I build this speaker program to 7 figures and beyond. Yeah,
super interesting. You know, I ran a software company up in Seattle for about 5-7 years, and we raised money. And I'm thinking, well, this is the big leagues now, right? We're a bigger company, bigger money coming in, have more money to spend. and we made less money than I do now, right? We're just a small team. Right? So sometimes I don't want people to say, oh, I need to be bigger. Sometimes you can do better and have more with a smaller, leaner team that's really focused. So I don't want people to think that I have to go do big things, because you can do big things in a small team.
See, true. And that's what I'm working on now. Because when I had those business partners, like we would have, say, a $30,000 month, but my cut was like $6. It's like, and I'm doing all the classes, all the maintenance, all the uptick, all the cleaning. Granted, they handled the books, which because that really isn't my strong point.
Mm-hmm.
So they handled that. But it's like at the end of all of that, like we made this much money, like I only get to keep this much. So now I went through and I learned the things that I need to know, got systems in place to where I can really run it with just myself, and especially with AI now, until it turns on us, is you can have AI assistants.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping they didn't put any of that in your knee, or you might be, you might be
true.
Like, we're gonna make Rob run today.
It wasn't even until after the procedure to where I knew what they were gonna do. One of the other trainers here, he sent me. It was like a model of exactly the process. Like I didn't realize like they sawed my bones and then hammered metal into my bones. Like I don't know if I would have got it if I knew it was all that.
Yeah,
that's crazy. All right, but like I said, I do have that hard out at one. So I want to get back to you. Who do you work with? Like, how can people get in touch with you? Do you have anything to offer?
Yeah, so I mean, to me, it's about a moment. And what I mean by that is, if you're a business owner, if you're an accountant, a bookkeeper, advisor, somebody who works with business owners, and you've ever felt this, right? The moment where you didn't have the answer, you got stuck, like we've been talking about, right? Where maybe you bought the latest dashboard, or you had the greatest coach, and they only got you so far. I call that an almost helpful moment. Man, it almost got me. That was it was almost helpful. That's the moment that the clear path to cash is built for, is finding where you're lacking, finding where you're stuck, and moving you past that. And I do that through 3 different things, right? It's a membership program, but in this membership program, I'm not like I used to be. I've actually changed my whole mind about software and coaching and things like that. So I have a membership that is not only an app, it's got 23 tools. So think about this app that's on the desktop, but think about it like a smartphone here, where you have all these apps. You don't use all of them every day, right? You just use the one you need when you need it. And that's what this app has, 23 different tools that solve basic business problems. Then 2, I have a complete video course teaching you techniques. So it teaches you the math. It teaches you the reasons why the math works and how to put it to work into your business. So that's kind of a self-help library of 100 plus videos. We're talking hours upon hours, 50, 60, 70 hours worth of video. Don't watch them all at once. Just use the ones that you need. Then lastly is this thing. This is what I started doing differently. Is I'm like I had people that would watch the videos and get stuck, and then they would try to use the app and get stuck. So I put in the middle this events calendar, right, as part of the membership. And 3 to 4 times a week, I'm treating it like I'm a professor in college. I call it office hours, and you come to me saying, "Hey, I'm dealing with this problem today." And we just talk it through, and I give you strategy. So, I mean, it's one of those things where people either come as a group. Sometimes it's one-on-one. It just, whoever shows up, shows up. But I'm making myself available as the support resource, because what I want people to do is, when they get stuck, they have help available then. They don't have to wait for a month until I'm open. They don't have to wait for whatever, looking it up online themselves and figuring it out. They can just jump into the next meeting tomorrow, get an answer, and move on.
I like it. So how do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, pretty easy. It's cashflowmike.com. And if you just want to look at something, right? Like, what does this guy do? Start with the app. Down at the bottom of the homepage is an explore the demo. And it's just an interactive demo of my app. So you can kind of see how it walks you through the problem that you're having and gives you the solution. So that's the other thing is not only does it identify where it's cash is leaking, but it tells you what to do next as well. Then even below that, we talked about finding hidden cash. In the footer, there's a little thing that says free calculator. That is my mining for business or mining your business for hidden cash calculator. That's free as well. So if you want to find where cash is leaking out of your business, or if you want to, look at any of the 6 major problems, debt, cash flow, profitability, education, or the future, if you want to look at any of those, well, then go check out those 2 resources. Free demo at the bottom, free calculator at the bottom.
All right. And now let's give us some final words.
Yeah. My final words is money is an energy, right? Robert, you know this more than anybody. So money is an energy, either positive or negative. It's going to bring you down or lift you up. I mean, one of the ways. But because of that, you can't chase it, right? It has its own momentum. You have to attract it to you. So think about the problems that you're solving and being authentic in the way you deliver your service or your product to the public, and you will attract their money.
Love it. That was awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to come out and join us. Are your socials on your website as well?
Yeah, everything's there. If you look up Cashflow Mike, I think I own the internet. So, I pretty much, I'm almost every listening. I think there's a wrestler out there that was Cashflow or Mike Cashflow or something like that. But
that's hysterical.
I pretty much own the name now.
That's great. Well, again, thank you for coming and sharing your story. It's fascinating. I'm actually going to check it out myself because, like I said, I'm getting ready to launch it here myself. So
there you go.
You got me motivated, thinking about, got me stuttering over here. I can't even talk.
Hey, I do that. I got that effect. I mean, that's how I got married.
I'm not marrying you though. On that note, have a great day.
All right. Thanks, Ralph.
You've been listening to Shut Up and Grind. We hope you've gotten some useful and practical information from this show. Robert has over 20 years experience pouring his knowledge and expertise at many events in the service and fitness industry, as well as secondary schools and universities. He has a true passion for helping others break through the barriers that are holding them back. To book Robert B. Foster to speak or to reach out, go to robertbfoster.com. Till next time, shut up and grind.